Hey guys, this is Chandan and today we'll discuss about Terraform. So in my previous video I have shown how can we create basic Terraform project and how can we set up the AWS CLI to directly run your Terraform commands from CLI and create AWS resources. Also I have explained how can we create the main files of Terraform like main.tf, tf-vars and variables.tf. So if you want to learn the basic setup about the Terraform and basic files, you can refer to the previous video. In this video we'll learn about one important file, that output.tf. So Terraform is nowadays very demanding skill in DevOps. You should definitely know it. So today we'll discuss about output.tf and also we'll discuss about some of the important techniques like some meta arguments, that's for each and count meta argument. So we'll discuss about these techniques in today's video. So let's start. So currently we can see we have main.tf, tf-vars and variables.tf. So main.tf mainly contains all the information about the resources. Also we have added a provider here saying like we have AWS provider and region is US East 1 and we have currently one resource, that is ECR. If I go to my AWS, so we can see this resource is running currently. Also we have one tf state file that contains the current state of the Terraform, and then we have one tf-var where we have the value for ECR underscore name variable that we have declared in the variables.tf. So this is very simple project where we are creating only one resource, that ECR. And now we'll understand about one more file, that's output.tf. So first we need to understand what is the requirement of output.tf. So basically in, let's say in any programming language, we have concept of functions and function returns the values. In a similar way, we can think like here we are creating resources, and let's say once resource is created, we want to know about some of the information about the resources. So we can create outputs for that resource and we can get the information about that resource. So if I go to Terraform official documentation, so for this ECR, they are saying this resource exports the following attributes. So let's say we want to know about the ARN or registry ID or repository URL of that resource. So simply we can create outputs for these and then later on we can get that resource information. The child module also use this data to share the information to the root module. So that's why the output.tf is very important. So let's create one output.tf file. So we have added outputs.tf file. Now we need to add the outputs. So I'm going to create my first output by using output keyword, and then I'll just give a name to the output. So I'll simply say ECR URL, and then we need to define a value for this output. So here we need to define a value. So we know that that value will come from that resource that we are creating. So this is a resource, so that's why we just copy this and then we'll give a local name of this resource. And then we want to know about the repository URL of this resource. So this is very simple output that's saying I just want to know URL of the ECR repository, and for that I have created output ECR URL and we are assigning a value. So we can simply first run Terraform plan. So now we can see we have that information, like this is going to add ECR URL and this is showing this particular ECR URL in plan. We can apply. So apply completed, and we can see we have one output ECR URL. So this is the URL of this repository. So if you go to this repository, we can see this is the URL. So now we have just created one output ECR URL. In a similar way, we can create multiple outputs. So let's say we want to know the ARN. So we can create one more output for ARN. And here we just need to replace with the ARN. And simply we'll apply the changes. So now we can see we have ARN and URL both. We have created two outputs and that's how we are able to get that output in the console. Now we'll discuss about some of the meta arguments in Terraform. So currently we can see we have one resource, that's ECR repository. Let's say we want to create more resources related to ECR. So one way is to copy this one more time and give a different local name. Let's name it ECR new. And then in variable, we can create one more variable for this name. And we can provide a value. So if we just run the plan, so this time we can see we should have two different resources. Here we need to change the name. So we can see it's saying that this is going to add one more resource, that ECR new, right? But it seems like here we are kind of duplicating the code again and again. So what is the another way if we want to create more resources and we don't want to duplicate that code again and again? So then we can use count meta argument. So simply we can delete this part. We can remove it from here. And we can go to main and we can simply define a count equal to 2. And then here we'll just use string interpolation, add index. So we have just declared count and we need to add count.index. So then the name will be ECR name, so that's demo dev, and then index. So index will start from 0. So ECR name is demo dev, so first name will be demo dev 0, another one will be demo dev 1. So let's check it by running the plan. It's saying invalid character. Yeah, we need to provide a double quotes. Now run the plan again. Yeah, so then the output is complaining. So yeah, so output was previously referring in a different way. So because we were having only one ECR, now we have two. So in that case, we are just going to use splat expression. We can simply define star here, or other ways we can define index also, like 0, right? But let's simply use star. Let's run the plan, and this time we can see we have two resources. So this will be replaced because we have just changed the name from demo dev to demo dev 0. That 0 is coming from that index. And second resource, we can see that's a new resource, demo dev 1. So that's also coming from index. So this time we are not duplicating the code, we are just making use of meta argument count, and we are providing that count.index. So this is kind of using the index from 0 to 1 because the count is 2. And simply we can use here the splat expression star that will display both the outputs for URL and ARN. So after apply, this output will be known. So it's saying known after apply. Also first if we want to check, let's say if you want to giving 0 index, then also this should work for that index. So similarly, we can provide either index in the outputs, or we can provide a splat expression if you want to consider all. And that's how we can work with the count meta argument. So now I'm going to run a apply. Let's confirm it. and we can see it has added 2 new resources. And now we are able to see the ARN and URL of both the resource, demo dev 0 and demo dev 1, ARN information and URL information. So that's good. We are able to implement the count and index. Now let's say if we want to use for each meta argument. So we have one more meta argument, that's for each. So then we can simply use by defining for each here, and then we need to define a count. Works with the number. This particular meta argument works with either map or set of strings. So we need to define a set of strings. Currently in variable we have only string. So let's make it list of strings. Just provide a default value. Let's name it demo 1 and demo 2. So now we have list of string and we have 2 values. So as for each works with the set of strings or it works with the map, so first we need to use the variable. So let's use it var ECR name, and then we can simply apply toSet as it works with set of strings. In this way we need to define the for each, and then we need to use the value. So value part we can simply define as each dot key, or in case of map we can define each dot key or each dot value. So we want to define each dot key. We have 2 values here. So now we are good. Let's run the plan. We need to remove this. You can directly use it. So now it's saying invalid value for input. Yeah, because that's list of string. So for now let's just delete it. We have already given the default. So when we are declaring the default value, that will be used. So that's why I'm not providing value here in tfvar. So this time it's saying this main.tf is good, but in case of output.tf it's saying that this is a unsupported attribute, because now we are not using count. So we will have a different way. So within that output we can use the for expression to define the value. So this time we'll not use this is splat expression, we'll go with the for, add the brackets, and let's say for I in, we have a list, right? So we have a list ECR name, and then we'll pass I here. And similar thing we'll use for the ARN. Here we'll just have ARN. That got deleted. Copy it again. So now it looks good. This is also good. Let's run again. We need to define var dot, because this is variable. Let's run again, and this time it looks good. So we have resolved all the errors, and now this time we can see it's saying to add, and we can see the name is assigned demo 2 and demo 1 that we provided in the list, and we can see we have 2 values here, but that will be known after apply as we have changed the implementation. So let's run the apply. Let's confirm it. So it has just destroyed the previous resources, created 2 new resources with the new names. And if you go to AWS account, let's refresh it. You can see here we have demo 1 and demo 2 we just created just now, and we also have the ARN and URL information for both the resource demo 1 and demo 2. So that looks good. And so we have just understood how can we use count and for each meta argument will not have the repeated code for the resource. So we can simply optimize our code just by writing once, and then we can make use of for each meta argument. Just if you want to repeat that operation for multiple different names or values, so we can use for each, and then we need to define either maps or set of strings, and then we can use each dot key or each dot value for maps, and that's how we can use it. In case of count, we just need to use count.index. Now let's say in output.tf, let's say we are displaying this ARN information, and let's just assume that this is a sensitive information and I don't want to display this in console. So how can we hide these sensitive information displaying from the console? So we can do simply by adding a sensitive keyword here. So let's define sensitive equal to true. So we want to print the URL, but let's say if we don't want to print ARN in the console, so we can simply use sensitive equal to true, and that will not print that ARN in console. It will have a different way of expressing. So let's run the plan. So let's apply it. And this time we can see ECR underscore ARN is showing sensitive. So we have that outputs, but we are not printing that output in the console. So that's how we can provide, if we have some sensitive information, so we can simply use this sensitive keyword equal to true. Also we can use this information in the variable. So let's say if you want to declare any variable as sensitive, so we can use sensitive equal to true in variable also, so that will not be printed in console. So let's say if you are running any pipeline, we don't want to print that in Terraform plan or apply, so we can simply use this sensitive equal to true. That will kind of hide that particular information by just simply saying it's a sensitive data. In this video we have learned about meta argument, we have learned about output.tf. So in the upcoming video we'll discuss more about different techniques and Terraform concepts. So that's it for now. Thanks for watching.